Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Monster Party Podcast, now a part of the Fangoria Podcast Network. For more information about the network, including other programs, how to follow the show, and find past episodes of Monster Party, please visit fangoria.com. And now, let's start the party. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special psychoanalytic episode of Monster Party.
Monster Party! Oh, man.
I feel so safe.
Do you feel safe?
I do.
I am a little nervous, my friend.
That's all right.
Just a little nervous.
And maybe you should be. Of all of us, you should be.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And who are you, sir?
I am Matt Weinhold.
I think I am SHAWN SHERIDAN.
Well, I am Larry STROTHE.
And I think I'm James GONIS, therefore I am.
No?
All
Okay.
right, well, we have someone that will be the judge of that.
I mean, this is going to be a very, very interesting show.
Very,
'cause
very different.
Very different
episode
because
here.
we have a very unusual topic.
Yes, we do.
The title of this show is Monster Therapy.
Monster Therapy!
Monster Therapy.
Monster
And
Therapy!
what we're going to do is we're going to kind of have ourselves therapized. What do you call it?
Well, a therapy session.
We're going to have a therapy session.
I mean,
yes.
this is...
on us.
Yeah, on us.
Well, it is funny because we did a show a while back about what the hell's wrong with us, kind of
Right.
thing.
Right,
And,
But we had to answer that ourselves.
But we threw this around like, what if we get someone who can really analyze
A professional.
a real professional?
What makes us tick?
Yeah.
And why?
And we have just that person. Who we have as a guest is acclaimed psychotherapist Thomas Ray.
Thomas Ray! Oh, Thomas Ray!
You guys, how long you been drinking since?
For about an hour.
That's what I thought.
You're going to fit in just
So what does that
fine.
say? If have we been drinking so much? Already?
Yeah, well, because I mean,
There's so many layers that we're trying to cover up.
Yeah.
you know?
yeah,
So Tom,
yeah.
just
You're getting ego defensive, aren't you?
oh gosh, I don't even know what that means.
He's already got you on your heels.
Look, don't be gentle, okay? Because I don't
Okay.
want to be in the next 10 minutes being like a
Yeah.
little in
Oh.
a fetal position, crying my eyes
I'll
out
be
here.
easy on you.
All right.
Because therapists are just gods, they know everything. And
Yeah.
we can read minds, and
No, you can't do that.
Well, that's why we turn to
Oh,
you.
sure,
I mean,
sure.
you're-
We're better. We just call us a mentalist. We look at things, and it tells us a lot.
Well, this all sounds good. But what have you done? What is your background? What are your credentials? I want to know what gives you the right to judge us.
Yes, you are a licensed professional, correct?
Well, this is the first job I've had longer than 10 years and haven't been fired. So that's
You're never actually hired.
yeah. So survival is why I can tell you guys that you're all imperfect and what your problems are. And
He's
you're
talking to you,
imperfect.
Larry.
No. He's talking to you because some of us are pretty darn close to perfect.
Well, he did say all imperfect.
Yes.
I want to know where you studied, though.
Well, I have a undergraduate degree in philosophy and religion. I have a master's it's called Masters in Divinity, or Masters of Divinity. I went to seminary.
Wow.
I always thought that was kind of ostentatious to say that I had mastered divinity, but
Someone has to.
I thought they could come up with a better name for that degree. But then I've got a master's in clinical social work on top of that.
Okay, where did you get your master's from?
The master's in divinity was from St. Paul's School of Theology.
I've heard of that. It's good.
It is good. And then the master's in clinical social work was from University of Kansas.
So now let's get started. Now, first of all, I think we should do a disclaimer here. That this is not really an actual. This would not be a professional.
No money is changing hands.
Yeah, this is primarily for entertainment.
And entertainment.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
But that being said, we don't want you to pull any punches. We want you to do your
No,
thing.
I can just be crude.
Help
mean.
us.
Yes.
Help
yes.
us, damn it.
Okay.
Help us.
But do we need help?
I think so. I could go.
No,
Okay.
I think someone here could use some help, perhaps.
Larry,
but
are we going to go so early into
Well, I'm just.
your
All right. Let me just
House of Mirrors?
Let me throw
That is
this
your
out.
mind?
Why don't you throw some?
let me throw this
let the
out.
doctor talk.
Okay.
Okay.
There's actually a real thing. No, this is no crap. There's actually a thing where people get this disease where they think their loved one is not really their loved one. And
that's creepy.
They think it's a duplicate.
Wow, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
And they have, and actually they have killed wives and partners and husbands because they thought they were not the real person.
Are you serious?
That's a fact.
Wow. Well, that's what makes the movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers so great. Is that it plays off a real
I hadn't
fear.
thought of that. That's exactly right.
A real
An imposter.
Yeah.
There are other movies like that. I think.
But they get off. I don't mean it that way. I mean they.
Thanks for clarifying.
They might actually, no. But if they go in front of a judge, they usually they get away free because it's
insanity play.
Insanity.
Wow,
so if you guys want to kill your wives,
not yet.
Okay.
just tell them that you didn't know you didn't believe it was her.
Okay.
Someone.
I'm not sure that's the best advice to give.
What if our,
So
Doctor.
we're like 10 minutes into
I
this.
know, and
he's giving us
I'm already
excuses to
worried.
murder our spouses.
I know.
No, but it beats divorce
what if our wives
because then you get all the life insurance and you don't have to go to jail.
No.
what if our wives want to kill us?
No, see, that's completely different. But this is not. No.
Okay, all right.
So to our
So back
listeners,
to us.
no,
Okay.
but to our listeners, we're not saying that's what we want you to do. No, that I would say go get some help.
Just in case somebody listened to this and
just get
thought,
some help.
hey.
No, you guys can go ahead and bare your soul. Let's go ahead. I'll just stab it to death. No, I just.
Well, what we all have in common is that we have this love of science fiction and horror,
Yes.
and maybe things that would be
Monsters.
maybe monsters, fantasy,
Yeah.
comic books,
Yeah.
things that might be nerdy or unusual
Yeah.
to your regular person.
One of the things I was always worried about, because I had an experience when I was a young kid, I told the guys about this too, was, there were like certain parts of me, there was a part of me that I really loved monsters, really could identify with monsters, and I had these two older brothers who were always kind of mean, I had a bunch of younger brothers and sisters too, but they were always kind of like bullies, kind of like push me around kind of thing, and did really horrible, mean things. And I know they listen to this show, and they know it's true. And I love drawing monsters, and I recently came across some pictures that I drew as a kid, and I'm talking like 6, 7, 8 years old, and I'm looking at some of these, and some of them
Well, you got one I can look at.
I do. Actually, this is actually one, and it's kind of interesting because if I could describe it to our listeners, this is what it looks like. I was about 6 years old, and this is actually from school. And there's some like numbers here where I had to mark yes or no, and below I had to draw a picture of the story. And I don't know what the story is, but there are these soldiers here, and if you notice at the bottom, there's a little dead guy with blood bleeding out of him, and then it looks like someone who's like.
And this was a math test.
No, it wasn't a math test.
So is this a cannon?
Yes, that is a cannon.
Yeah.
That is a cannon. There's two soldiers on either side, and then there's a dead guy with I actually went and drew blood.
Well, this is a good question then.
And you were how old when you did this?
About 6.
You were probably a homicidal maniac
I knew it!
that you've been hiding for years, and somehow you've been able to assimilate that into your
He's
character.
a sociopath.
Yeah.
You're a flaming
Classic sociopath.
Yeah.
sociopath that you somehow managed not to sociopath.
Show him the other picture.
Matt.
You got any
folks,
more?
we'll be posting some of these
Yes.
on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna
too, so
post
you guys
all these
can
pictures.
look
You know
at the
something, Matt? This is
pictures.
exactly what I thought was going to happen. I thought the guy was going to come and go, well, Larry, you're a sociopath. I'm like, well, there it is. All right,
Isn't it nice to know?
All right, doctor.
Yes.
Doctor,
Yes.
let's see how great you are. Here's another picture. Now, this I drew in 1977, and I have to explain. It's from Star Wars. We all know Star Wars. We all love it. It's fantasy.
I'm not familiar.
Okay, well, this is a picture of the first scene where the rebel ship is invaded by stormtroopers, and I have stormtroopers firing at the rebels, but when you look at this picture, the rebels are being slaughtered, and you see blood spurting out of them, and there's one guy that's spitting out blood. Okay, this is from 77.
It's a little more violent than the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Maybe a
little
lot more.
All right, doctor.
Sociopath.
He's got you pegged.
It's just you've got all these homicidal, angry.
Okay, then one more drawing,
One
Mr.
more,
Doctor,
okay.
Mr.
Yes.
You guys are a bunch of sociopaths.
Yes, yeah.
So here's my third picture, and now I'm in 5th grade. Let's see how sociopathic this is.
This is the class picture.
This is no, it is not a class picture. It is a picture of a race. It is a race with 3 cars. Snoopy is in one, followed by Kermit the Frog and Boris Karloff. Wow. And he's dressed as Frankenstein in his Frankenstein car, and you can see Boris Karloff is winning the race. Snoopy is in third, and his car's had some problems, and Kermit looks like he's coming in second. All right, sir, what does that
There's a
say?
helicopter.
Oh, there. Yeah.
What's the helicopter?
Oh, there's a couple of frogs in there. I think.
Frog.
Oh, the frogs.
Frog.
They're
All right.
like the press, or
Yeah, it's a frog press.
Who do you identify with most in this picture? Let me ask you that.
Oh, well, obviously Boris Karloff. He's
Boris.
in the front.
Yeah, Boris.
He's in the front.
Okay.
Well, what you think I identify with Kermit or
Yeah.
Snoopy?
I
You
thought
think I'm
I
more
was thinking Kermit. I was thinking Kermit because Kermit's kind of sweet.
So
Kermit's in
he's
second.
I'm being
smiling
nice
there.
to you.
He is smiling.
What is he thinking?
He's saying, I'm winning. That's what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
He's saying, I'm the greatest.
And that
I'm
kind
the
of does. It really does sort of sum up Larry, because that's what he's saying to us almost every minute of the day. I'm great. How great I am.
No, what are you talking about? I talk about how good your collections and stuff.
Yeah,
are.
right.
You know,
Again, the
you're-
voice goes into a weird place.
No. What do you mean weird?
Yeah, you're
I'm just-
No, your collections are.
They are. They're very good. They're very good. They're very nice collections.
Okay, let me hit you another one. So we're collectors. We collect a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a whole kind of syndrome or whatever in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
But Larry, we both collect stuff. I love his collection.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I love your collection.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, you don't.
I
You're
do.
so lying.
No.
But he constantly, he'll do these sort of underhanded jabs at, he'll go, your collection's good, but that's not. No. I have. That's
I
what
don't
it'll
remember-
usually go.
I
It'll
don't-
go your collection's good, but I have, and then it's
No,
like.
it's because I want to give information. I want to let you know. Oh, this is a very
that's
nice.
what it is. You
But
are
I
a
wanna let
sweet
you-
man.
No. It's like this is a great collection. It's really really nice. And you know what? And you have this and this. And it's like, oh, and by the way, I have this.
But can't you just admit that you just think all of our collections are inferior?
No.
And yours is the best. And it can't just be different. Yours has to be the best.
The pause tells the answer there.
You know, does it have to be
It can't be apples or oranges. It's got to be mine's the best.
Well, I think we all try to strive to have a great collection. Come on, there's a great
do.
There's actually a great classic Star Trek episode called "The Collector." I think it was Next Generation.
Next
I think,
Generation, yes.
Where
Yes.
there's this one guy who is the collector, and he tries to collect all these really rare things in the galaxy, and he collects data. Yeah, the
That's
the
right.
character data because he's the only android of his kind.
Yeah, and
you
he
know?
has old gum.
yeah,
and
yeah,
Or a baseball card.
He has the battery operated Gigan, that was made in
Right, that
Japan,
you have.
that I have, believe it or not.
Okay.
Really had that?
I do.
No, he had that on Star Trek.
Oh no, I'm just kidding.
No, I think your problem, I got this figured out. You have what's called egoitis.
Egoitis.
Yeah, that means that your ego is very, very deflated.
Yes.
And you are obsessed with getting that ego to be stronger. You see.
Yes.
So
Like
you
overcompensating.
got to do everything better than anybody else.
That's- yes.
You really need help.
Yeah.
Well, can
Why doesn't he bring
Listen,
that?
I do some things pro bono, so
But why doesn't he bring that ethic to this podcast? That's what I want to know.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
The
What do you
wanting
mean?
to be better than everybody else. You just kind of.
Well, what if I am better than everyone else? what if I am?
Now, there's a thing called delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I'm just kidding. Come on.
You
Come on.
have delusions that people sometimes can get delusions that they're great and wonderful. And
That's now that I do not. I do not have that at all.
Oh,
I know,
okay.
No. I do know because I see greatness in people who are much better than me.
Sometimes you kind of beat up on yourself, which that's the part that kind of
That's true,
that makes me
actually, yeah.
sad.
Well, the explanation you gave of egoitis is actually, instead of Larry really believing that he's above, he's actually struggling with the inner belief that he's below, and he has to compensate for
Right.
that. Isn't that what egoitis-
that's right. Did I say that?
I-
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Boy, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's like every robot that he buys is just one more rung in the self-esteem ladder.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? It's funny about that. I mean, I recognize it's kind of like in the film Amadeus, where there's
Another classic
yes.
science fiction
Yes,
horror movie.
yes.
Go ahead.
Salieri recognizes the brilliance of Mozart, and
That's right.
I acknowledge and recognize the brilliance of your collection and yours. James.
but-
First time I've ever heard
No, no, no,
brilliance.
no, no.
But, okay.
But Salieri was a tortured genius with envy and jealousy that was psychotic with rage.
So are you saying that I am a tortured genius?
Well, that's who you identified with in that movie just now.
Yeah, well, I guess I did. What do you know?
Well,
It's
Instead of throwing a crucifix in the fire, you just threw my picture.
But can I ask? I want to ask Doctor, if as far as the collecting goes, because we're all pretty obsessive collectors, and it's something that we've always kind of been into. And I don't know about you guys, I'm sure you can relate, but I'm pretty obsessive about certain things I want to get, I want to collect, and I think about it a lot. I fret about it. I will spend a lot of time and money in my life collecting things, and I'm always trying to find the next thing. And sometimes if I think, there's nothing left to find, but I find something else. What is it about that kind of personality trait where people who, because there's
always something,
hardcore
Sean.
collectors of all
This has
kinds
got to
of
be a
things.
common thing, right?
For many listeners out there, too, who are collectors as well.
Well, there's help for you because there is a thing called the DSM-5, which is the new manual that came out this year. And it's the Bible for everything that's wrong with anybody's in this book. And it's about, yay thick, and it took them 25
About an inch
years.
and a half.
Yeah, took them about 25 years to put it together. And they have a few new diagnoses in there now, and one is called hoarders. So I think you hoard. And
Is it hoarding though the same as but we kind of display our stuff. We make a room for it, and we put it on
I would
shelves.
draw a
Is that
distinction.
different from hoarders who literally can't throw stuff away?
Well, I think it's about a dissatisfaction in life, and you have to have some control. So you get all these things, and you just obsess about
I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah, I guess.
So
I can
does
see
that mean, Doctor, that you don't collect anything yourself?
Well, we are not going to talk about my personal life.
The tale has been turned.
This
think
is a professional conversation. There are boundaries. You do not see. The therapist never talks about his personal life with us.
I think someone collects the ladies.
But I guess I can see what you mean, because when it comes to the control idea, I have to have my DVDs.
Yeah.
I have to have themes for the boxes, and I spend a lot of time. I love it though. I love doing it,
and I love the robots in a certain way.
Oh yeah, I will spend 20 minutes arranging the figures.
Do
on
you
the
have
shelf.
to put your socks in a drawer in a certain way? And
I do actually.
I do.
You have to
Yes.
hang up
Yes.
everything in a certain
I
way.
prefer- Yes.
I am
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
My wife is not as much like that. I'm kind of anal retentive about keeping the house clean and just keeping things in order and putting stuff away.
This place is really clean.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you 5-minute therapy. Less than that. Less than that.
We have another 45 minutes, so if you can stretch it a little bit.
Well, I'm gonna give you 20-second therapy.
Okay.
All right,
okay.
go for it.
All right.
The next time that you find yourself wanting to do that, I want you to say 5 times, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. But you do that 5 times, and you don't care then about where the socks are, what they look like, or if they're lined up, or you just.
Wow, I don't know if I could do that.
Now,
Dr. Tom, I can't do that.
Oh yeah, you can.
No, I can't
Yes, you
do
can.
that. No.
Then the house will be a mess.
And then the socks.
And then what'll happen?
And then you say, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it.
Oh,
Do you also
all
say
right.
that when you have the urge to buy something that you want in your collection? Because that's also
'cause
kind
that's
of
Fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. It'll do just a lot of things.
You know what? I don't know.
It gives me so much joy collecting and looking for stuff on eBay and.
Who said life's
stuff.
supposed to be joyful? I mean, come on.
you're right. It's supposed to be miserable and a pain and no.
It's supposed to
come on.
suffer all the time.
No,
When it comes to that, though, the collecting is kind of almost the only place that I exercise that sort of control thing. It's I'm kind of a slob in every other way.
Is that true?
Yeah, I've gotten a little bit better when it comes to putting the dishes away and that kind of stuff. Because if things get too cluttered, then it kind of bothers me and it gets overwhelming, and then I have to clean up.
It's not fair for the wife.
That's not fair for her too. She works hard. And
She
I
does.
figure I
She
need
works
to do
very hard.
Yeah, and I need to do my part.
You
and so
do.
and we help each other out. That's
Well, you
good.
can never,
but
you can never live with me.
Women have their place in the home.
Yeah.
Oh boy! Wait! Whoa!
Someone got us a psychotherapist from the 40s. Wow,
Yeah, I
this is
wonder
a
who-
special time machine episode.
I wonder who that person was. Maybe we should kind of move away from that.
Yeah, Yeah.
You know,
What's your feeling on chastity belts?
No, but Matt, I hear where you're coming from because your collection is your choice. That's like your domain. That's what you have control over.
Right.
Everything else is like chores. It's stuff you got to do. You have to do it. It's around you. There's no choice.
Right.
Your collection is all a matter of choice, and it gives you a sense. For me, it gives me a sense of freedom.
Well, and wouldn't you also say that it's kind of art? Like the whole setting everything up and displaying it is art.
Totally,
Yeah.
Matt. Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. That's one of the beauty things about when I look at that case of robots that I have. I mean, these are little pieces of artwork. They don't make robots like this anymore.
That's
these
right.
toys, these metal toys with the lithograph on it, they don't do that anymore.
That's right, yeah.
And it's not only that, Matt, it's not only art, it's a piece of history.
Yes,
it's a piece
that's
of
true.
history, and these things are getting harder and harder to find. I mean, a metal toy robot, many of them are like beat up or have rust in them,
Right.
and it's great if you could find one in perfect shape.
Right.
Perfect shape. I mean, it's so rare. It makes it so special.
And this is where I would differentiate the difference between the collector and the hoarder. Because as Sean was saying, I actually have a discerning eye. I'm trying to pick out these things that are beautiful to me or rare or whatever.
Right.
Like I knew a friend of mine, her mom was classic hoarder, and she'd go over her mom's house, and there'd be like 9 big bags of dog food. She doesn't have a dog, and she'd go, "Why'd you buy the dog food? It was on sale."
yeah, see, we don't.
Someone might
that's
need
crazy.
it, and like I don't think any of us are there yet.
This is what I will say. I will say this though. After growing up, people knew that I liked science fiction, fantasy, horrors, and they knew that. And so for birthdays and Christmas and Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween, you guys got to
Name a few more holidays. Arbor Day.
No. But
Groundhog Day.
I would get a gift or something that had something to do with science fiction, fantasy, or horror. And there's some things that I loved. But, there were some things that I got that, it really wasn't my thing. Like, for example, I mean, you guys know this. There was a birthday. I had a bunch of friends get together, and they bought me a whole set of X-Men figures. This is from like 92, 93, okay? Now, they're nice figures. They were nice. But it really wasn't something that I specialized in. That wasn't my thing, And so, but I held on to them because it was a gift, and it was in the realm of that. And what's happened now is now at the age of 50, and I have a kid and a home and stuff. I was looking at a lot of bits of my collection. I said, that's the thing that, it's taking up space. It's not something that I really care much about. So for the first...
He got rid of it.
Yeah, believe it or not, Matt and I, we've talked about this. I didn't want to give away any bit of my collection. I was like, this is all mine. But there came a point at 50 when I said, you know what? I can release these X-Men figures. It's not my favorite thing. My Godzilla stuff.
If you
my
love someone, set them free.
Exactly. So believe it or not, for the first time ever, I put them up on eBay. And
Then you bought them?
No. And I actually didn't care what it sold for because my feeling was there's somebody out there that loves those X-Men figures more than me. And it was taking up space. And, of course, they were all mint in their packages, of course, because much of my stuff is mint in package. So I decided to let it go. And this was a big deal for me, Matt. It was a big deal for me.
It's a touching story.
Well, I'm just saying.
And you also had some incentive because wasn't it to get some cash flow for the Japan trip that was coming up?
Well,
So let's talk about lying. Now,
No. It's not lying. No. James, that was kind of like the
Impetus.
Yeah, thank you for the catalyst.
There you go.
To get me to look at some bits of my collection and go, you know what? This is not something that's so special to me, and I'm gonna let this go.
since we're on the collection theme, let me ask you this. So Larry and I guess you guys too, are kind of straddled each side of this position. And that is, do you take something out of the package that you buy and display, or do you keep it in the package and put it in your basement and just have fond memories knowing it's in your basement?
We have debated this.
Well,
Okay, imagine, sir, you buy this toy, okay, and it's mint in the package, okay? It's pristine. It has the air in this package is from the time that it was sealed.
Which means that it has more value if it were to be resold.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, air doesn't age. Just to let you know.
Just
Go ahead.
okay. So I prefer to have some of these items that I made my purchase stay sealed in their package.
Well, what does that mean to you? Why is that important?
Why is that important? You heard him.
I'm answering him.
Okay,
if you give me a moment.
Answer the question.
It's pristine. It's untouched. It's like, for example, I have this great... I actually have an alien from a Major Matt Mason toy, the Callisto from 1968, still sealed in its bubble pack.
So it's like time never changes?
Yeah, no. It's a time capsule. It's a time capsule. I can look at that figure in its little bubble that's never been released, and it's like when you open that, if you were to open that, you could smell the air from 1968.
Okay, so...
It smells like Nixon.
1968?
So it's timeless.
Yes, it is timeless.
Why is that important to you?
Oh my gosh, why is that important to me? I love the fact of holding on to something that is timeless. There's something I love about having it pristine and untouched by human hands, and that it's a time capsule. It's like a way to go back in time in a way. Like, for example, in 1968, I was 4 years old, okay? So in a way, that little Callisto, who I saw at a toy store that I wasn't able to get, now I have it. But it's
you don't really.
There's a great Chinese story about a man who was given this special little box, and he was told never to open it, and he held on to it for years and years and years, and he always stayed young. And then he was so curious, and then he finally opened the box, and then it was his old age, and he opened it up, and he immediately turned old. Do you remember that story?
And that's why you don't take stuff out of the package.
I'm trying.
It's like a weird Shangri-La thing.
Wow,
Or
I didn't see that disclaimer at Toys R Us.
Like the blister pack of Dorian Gray.
Okay, see, we're all laughing. We're all laughing at Larry's
Pandora's
expense.
bubble pack.
I'm trying to open up, and and here my friends are just poking fun. That's
it's
the
an
typical
interesting.
thing.
Your friends are mean.
They are. They're mean. I
really
mentioned
mean.
this. I said Matt
Do you
to me all
call these?
the time.
Do you call these guys friends? They're so
Well,
mean.
you know what? I actually do call James a friend.
Oh.
James and I are very, very close.
You and me, dude.
No.
You and me, dude.
Sean's a friend too. No.
Don't get around to me.
going down the line.
No. I've actually known Sean longer than anyone here, and
So Larry, though, that means that because that's interesting that you said that, and so it really doesn't have anything to do with the monetary value, then, right? Because your intention really is never to sell stuff that you buy, right?
Well, see, you get into an interesting thing because we had this conversation. I remember when. See, my mom, it all goes back to your mother. My mom had a great doll collection and of Stiff Bears and Madame Alexander toys, dolls. And I taught my mom early on. I said, "Mom, these are collector items. You should always hold on to the box, And so she did. She did. Well, when my mom passed away, which was quite sudden, which was great for her, but it's like my job within the family was I had to package my mom's collection up together to try to sell it. And I was happy that Mom saved all the boxes. That's going to make it easier to sell. But then I thought, oh my gosh, when I go, I don't want my kid to have to go through all the stuff that I'm going through with my mom's collection, which is very vast, it's very large. So it's funny you should bring that up because we talked about this. I was thinking maybe I should give myself a time limit. Maybe when I get to 65, 70, I should maybe start unloading it because I don't want my daughter to go through the same thing that I've had to go through.
Right.
All right. Well, this is the most articulate and clear you've been about the way that you collect
actually,
that I've ever heard.
But see, here's the weird thing, Doctor. This is what I want to ask you, though. Matt, okay, my buddies and I, this is where it's kind of a crazy thing. Recently, we went to Comic-Con. Do you remember, guys? We went to Comic-Con recently. Yeah. And Toynami, at the booth at Comic-Con, they had this brand new Godzilla toy, which was kind of it was the Godzilla toy you always wanted. It was based on the 1979 toy from Mattel, from the Shogun Warriors. And I was so excited. I knew about it. Oh, James came with me. I got my figure. It was kind of expensive. And I got it. I'm so excited. And I wanted to take it out of the box and put it on the shelf. I opened the box, and it's got those plastic ties tied in the box. And I realized, oh my gosh, if I sever the ties, that means it wasn't like a tying a bow. It was a plastic tie that was a zip tie. And I knew if I cut it, that means the value is going to go down. So I haven't opened it up yet.
So now I want to give my side of things, which is toys were meant for children to play with And I consider myself kind of an adult child in many ways.
You are. Yes.
And I like my toys. I like to touch them because I feel like if they're all in the package, it's like they're not really mine. You know, when I got toys as a kid, I'd open them up and I'd play with them and I'd pose them and I'd touch them. I'm tactile. I need to touch them or else it's not real. And what I don't understand is having package after package after package. It's like you're visiting your own toy store, which that's not fun to me.
No, it's totally fun, Matt. Are you kidding?
No, you can't. You don't play with them.
No, Matt.
You don't play with them.
Matt, do you remember when you've seen pictures of photos taken of toy stores from, let's say, 1971 or 73, and you see all the AHI monster figures on a rack, or in 1978, when you see racks of Star Wars figures when they first came out, rows and rows of Star Wars figures, if they were at like $1.79. I mean, seeing those, doesn't that excite you?
I want to get them and take them out of the package and play with them. When I see pictures on eBay,
well, yeah, that's what you get two of them.
That's his other thing too. Not everybody is the life of Riley here.
What do you mean the life of Riley?
You know what? I've said this before.
Yeah.
If I said to my parents, "Could you please buy me 2 of every toy?" I would have been laughed out of the family.
No, but I think we're actually reaching a breakthrough here with Larry, because I think what he's describing, is that his dream has always been not to amass all these toys, but to rebuild a vintage toy store from his youth, where he can walk in and see everything in package.
Ooh,
doesn't need to take it out. He
Is that
just
what you
needs
think?
to see it hanging up.
Larry's are us.
Oh my God.
Well, let me give you a different way to look at it.
I don't think
All
so.
right. Go ahead, Dr. Tom.
No.
Cut me down. Cut me down to size. Go ahead.
No. What if it's about, number one, it's not about the toys, it's about what they represent to me. Okay. Number two is, I'm wondering if it's about, it's something that never changes. And you put that in the context of the lives we live, everything's changing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a way for us to keep something that doesn't change, and that's why it's important to us. But that's just an idea.
No, that's cool.
I like that.
No, and I like that.
I like that
you know,
too.
it's funny you should say that, because we've talked about this too. There were things that we saw as kids growing up that over a period of time, it vanished. For example, I talked to you guys about the first time I went and got my first Monster cards. I was 6 years old, and I went to the local Star and Bar, which was on a corner of a street. That's gone, Gold Circle, which is kind of like a Gemco or like a Walmart today. But the Gold Circle had the Star Trek figures. They had this. I bought so many of my Star Wars figures and Star Trek figures.
So it's like the experience of going into those places.
And it's gone. It was torn down, and it turned into like a 24-hour Nautilus.
Yeah, I had a lot of like department stores that I would frequent when I was a kid to get all my Mego figures and
me
stuff.
too.
And it's like
Me too.
it's just they're gone. It's like you want to go. And I still remember the images of the racks in the stores and the aisle that I went down to find them. And
What's interesting though about like the idea of something that never changes is if I was going to go back to that time, I would have to have them out of the package, because that's what I did as a kid. That part of me has never changed. And I would also say that there are so many figures that when you see them in the package, there are certain things that I do still have in the package because the package looks nice.
I'm rubbing off on you.
Yeah, but it's few. Most of my stuff is open and posed. And a lot of toys, for you to have them look like they're supposed to look with their gun or their accessory, and they have a hat or something, and usually when you get it in the package, it's like separate.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I want it to look like what it's supposed to look like. And that's why I take them out of the package. And I don't have enough money in my life to buy 2 of everything.
But see, Matt, when you take it out of the package, that moment is gone. It's like it's gone. That moment of seeing that, like I can relate to Sean. Sean, I remember there was a toy store right by Mervin's at my house, and I remember walking down the aisle and seeing the Creature from the Black Lagoon, the AHI figure. It was the female version in the little bubble case, and it was $2. It might have well been $1 million, because I didn't have $2. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much. And I'll never forget that image. I wanted that thing so badly. And of course, I do have the figure. It doesn't have the package, because something like that goes for like $2,000 now.
That's insane.
It is great. But again,
it is
it's so
that
rare.
Yeah, it is that memory of just like, because all of us, I think, here growing up as kids, we just devoured anything and everything monsters.
Yeah,
like it was just something that we gravitated to so much. Like,
and there wasn't as much of it.
No, not like today.
Right. That's like what. So finding it was always a special thing, And I wanted to talk to you about how you said, Doctor, like things not changing. And when it comes to like movies and TV shows, I watch and collect a lot of old films and TV shows that I grew up watching on like late night TV, when I was by myself, staying up late, everybody else went to bed. And I like to relive that, watching that old low budget movie that by today's standards is so cheap looking and so, unrealistic and silly. But I love to relive watching it like through the eyes of when I was a kid. I can still do that. Like I can still watch stuff and appreciate stuff that way. It's that suspension of disbelief. I think a lot of younger generations today can't understand that.
No,
really. It's like, I think a lot of younger people today maybe are spoiled by how everything is just so super realistic and so, you can do anything now in movies. But like, I can still watch an old film and just like have that kind of wonder about it and immerse myself in that world, no matter what, like an old film from the 30s or the 50s or whatever.
And see it through the eyes of the time. And,
And Sean, would you agree when you see some of these films, you can see them over and over again, and there's something very comforting about them?
Very much.
That's nostalgia.
Yeah.
What's comforting about them, though? I mean, to me...
Well, I think because when I saw them as a kid, life was good. I was protected. I didn't know or was aware of any problems or dangers in the world. I had my parents were taking care of me, and
it's Rosebud.
Yeah, it was like life was fine because I was a kid. The whole future, the whole world was ahead of me, and like I didn't have any fears of like.
Wow, you had a different.
Well, no,
you had a different childhood than I did.
But I mean, when it comes to that,
I was bullied like in the crib.
I was bullied a little bit, but I mean, I knew that like the comfort of sitting in a big easy chair in the living room with the lights off, everybody else is asleep. It was my world. I could just like escape and just watch these movies, and it was like
Sean, I could totally relate.
And that's why. Well, and I relate too. But for me, I thought the world was horrible, and this is where I went, and that's why I always related to monsters, because they were misfits, and you're kind of rooting for the underdog, and I truly was, by the way, bullied in the crib.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you a story.
Please do.
I'm going to tell you a story about my brother.
How can you remember that far back?
Well, no, I was told this.
And there's certain traumatic things that you remember as a kid.
Yeah, I did Dianetics, so it came out.
But please don't go there.
Nah, I'm just kidding. But so this is something my brother told me. This is a story he told me. He said that when I was a baby, and I think I was like a week home from the hospital.
Okay.
And he had this green, horrible-looking monster mask. And he wanted to do this experiment to see if fear was something that was innate or learned.
It sounds like the Peeping Tom.
Yes. I mean, it is almost that. And this is true.
B.F. Skinner did that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I need help, Doc. So still carrying this with me. But
please tell us the story.
So anyway, so what he does, I'm in my little baby crib, and my brother puts on this green mask and slowly just raises his head above the edge of the crib and just looks at me. And me being a baby, the head's going all over the place. Yeah. And then finally I notice him.
Yeah.
And we lock eyes.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's going to be fine. And then there's a beat, and I just go, ah! And he just slowly lowers his head and scurries out of the room.
Wow.
And I think, in a way, now I'm not sure whether that was the day that my love of horror was born.
Right.
Because I don't even really understand why that is in my life.
Yeah.
Because I do love it. And there's, like, the part of being scared is also something that's exciting.
Yeah.
And even at times, like, again, like the monster thing is like kind of comforting.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's all kind of very dark imagery.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I mean, and my brother didn't stop there, by the way.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, like, for most of my childhood, this guy was constantly trying to just scare the fuck out of me.
See, and like you, Matt, and like Larry had older brothers. See, I was the old, I had a younger sister.
Oh,
so
no,
I terrified her. I would
Dude, you
on her.
have no idea what you missed out on.
Oh, yeah.
My brothers were notorious. And I can relate to Matt's story because I came from a large family.
Right,
and it was a large family. It was very crowded. The laundry was constant. I mean, mom and dad, yelling. I mean, it was like they lost their minds basically. But every Saturday night, between 9:30, 11:30, when Creature Feature came on, it was a very special.
Your time.
It was a special time, and actually, some of my brothers and sisters would kind of join in on that. It was a special time where we came and watched these monster movies, and it was very special. I mean, I remember for a birthday when I got some birthday toys. and I actually lined them all up to watch Creature Feature with me. I remember
great.
that.
But my brother, this is what he would do when we started watching Creature Features, because he'd watch it with me, and usually my parents were caterers, so they were gone at night, and he would babysit me. That's like, the devil babysitting you. And he would, and so we'd watch like Vincent Price, Last Man on Earth.
Last Man on Earth, yeah.
And, there's like these zombie-like vampires that are it's kind of like Night of the Living Dead. They're, banging on this guy's door trying to get into this house and kill him and turn him into a vampire. And this movie ends, and this is what my brother does. This is the kind of things he did. He would go to the circuit breakers of the house and just pull out the circuit breaker.
Yeah.
So I can't turn on any light. And so he's like, so now I'm sitting there in my room in the dark, and he's like in the hallway going, Morgan! And I'm like just pissing myself. And it never stopped.
It was horrible. That's horrible.
I don't know if I've ever told this story.
Yeah.
I remember this night very clearly, because now this is my bedtime story that he's telling me.
All right.
And the story was, so little Jimmy is sent by his mom to go to the store to pick up some liver for dinner. And on the way, he sees like a candy store, and he spends a lot of the money on the candy, and then he realizes, oh my God, I don't have any more money for the liver, and he goes to the butcher's place, and he asks, hey, could you just give me some cheap liver? And like, no, I'm sorry, kid, we can't help you. So he says, oh shit, and he's on his way home, and he is passing by the cemetery.
Okay.
And so he gets the idea, hey, and by the way, I believe that this is what a kid would do.
Right.
The kid goes, hey, I know what I'll do. I will dig up a dead body, remove its liver, and bring it home for dinner.
Are you kidding?
This is the story he told me. So the kid brings it home. They make it. He suddenly loses his appetite and says, I'm going to go to bed. And they go, okay. So he goes to bed. And he's lying in his bed, and all of a sudden he hears scratching on the window. Like, oh, what's that? What's that? Hello? And more scratching. Hello? Who is it? And he suddenly hears this voice say, give me my liver back. I want my liver back. We see a putrefied walking corpse, a bloody hole in its chest. And he climbs into the window and comes at the kid. Cut to morning. Knock on the door from his mom. Timmy, open the door. It's time to go to school. No answer. Opens the door. There he is in his bed. Blood everywhere. A bloody hole where his liver should be. And written in blood on the sheets, it says, I got my liver back.
No way.
That's a great story.
Wait, so your brother told you this?
And what followed after that was, good night, Matt.
Doctor, who's more messed up, Matt or his brother?
Oh, his brother.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. That's horrible, Matt.
Yeah, and I carried that story with me, and that's not where really the story ends, because he says good night, and then he climbs up to where my window is.
No.
And starts scratching
Are
on
you
the window.
serious?
Yes.
See, that is messed up.
It's kind of criminal genius, though.
See, the funny thing is, we're all laughing. Hey, isn't this funny? Oh, it's like horrible. But that is messed up, man.
It's a little messed up.
Your brother has problems.
Maybe that trauma kind of did get you kind of interested in
my brother's.
I had to deal with my fear.
Yeah,
I had to embrace it.
My brothers beat me up and were did physical mean. They never did stuff like that.
Yeah,
that
he was
is like
psychological.
Yeah,
shit.
that is messed up,
Yeah.
man.
No, he fucked with my head.
Doctor, what do you think?
Well, I think it's what you've done in your life is you have found a way to deal with it by getting into the monster stuff, and it's been a way to come to grips with that for you.
I think it has. I really think it has. And now it's something that I actually find comfort in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something... I get scared and happy at the same time. I don't know if that's possible. Or,
You can have more than one feeling, and they could be contradictory.
All right, so look, I've talked about some stuff. Sean has, Matt has. James,
what do you got?
what do you got, buddy?
Yeah.
Lay it on us.
No, I was thinking the same thing. Like the one thing that we do all have in common is we do gravitate toward these dark subjects, regardless of our origin in getting into them. And now horror has exploded, and it's so much more mainstream than ever before. But still, my family always, it's like, oh, James and his horror. It's hard for me to sometimes even watch what I want at home on TV because it's dark. It's not mainstream.
The wife doesn't like it.
Yeah. Although she loved True Blood, but she draws the line. She draws the line at George Romero, and Universal horror. They're just not interested, But I want to watch that stuff 24/7. So that's kind of fascinating to me, is that we gravitate toward this, and we have it in common. And there's nostalgia, and maybe there's some sort of catharsis, but I don't know. I grew up.
Let it out.
Come on,
let it out, man.
Come on, man.
Is it healthy? Is it good? Do I continue along this path?
Does it cause you discomfort?
No.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, cool.
Just say fuck it, fuck it, fuck it.
Fuck it.
And the obsession.
That's the next Monster Party T-shirt. Monster Party says, "Fuck it, fuck it, fuck it."
Well, the thing is that the stuff that you think might be an issue or might bother you, you can go to therapy, but on a very deep level, maybe not so deep, you don't really want to be cured because you're enjoying this stuff.
Yes.
Here. If you want to just talk about criteria, is it hurting anybody?
No.
Is it hurting you?
No.
Do you enjoy it?
Yes.
Is it doing positive things for you?
I think so.
Okay.
No. Yes. It's a yes.
Yes.
Then it's go back. Fuck them. I don't know.
All right, cool.
See, you know what's funny about that? I remember the great cartoonist Charles Schulz, who did these great Peanuts.
I know
drawings.
nothing, right? That guy?
No. Charles, who did Charlie Brown?
Oh, that one. Yeah.
He does this whole sequence of cartoon panels of Charlie Brown and Lucy. The psychiatrist is in, kind of a thing, and actually the wife suggested, why don't you go? He had
has a name.
I'm just saying. They had all these issues, and he said, no, I don't want to go and get my issues solved, because if I get them solved, then Peanuts would die. It wouldn't go on. His issues kind of helped make the cartoon go forward.
But see, now you bring up a very interesting point, which is that as a comic, when I was doing stand-up comedy for all that time, there was a lot of years of my life where I was just miserable.
Yeah.
And sad and depressed and anxious.
You?
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I thought that if I got rid of that, I would lose my edge. I would lose my comedic edge. And so in a way, I kind of ignored it as best I could for all those years and was just a mess. Like, it finally got to a place where I was like, I got to do something about it. I can't just be sad 24/7. I got to somehow deal with this.
And you dealt with it.
And I did, and I finally did.
You're one of the happiest people I know.
It's taken a lot of work to get there.
It infuriates me.
Damn it!
But that's why I love you so much.
Well,
and your collection is really good.
Wow.
I just see you mentally putting everything back in the package.
That's what he sees too.
Yeah.
Doctor, I want to ask you about just like horror in general. Because a lot of people can't watch horror, they don't like any kind of scary movies or anything. It's like blood turns them off, and I really dig all kinds of horror films and art and comics and some really dark, extreme stuff too. I mean,
and we all know that it's not real, and so that's part of the fun of it.
But
whenever I see anything in the news that's real, I absolutely know the difference.
Me too. Yeah. But is that something where a lot of people can't know
differentiate
the difference? But also people who look at us and say "Oh, you're twisted and weird if you like that stuff." But to me, it's healthy. It's fascinating. I like to embrace. To me, the world is. There's so many amazing, beautiful, great things in the world, but the world is also insane and chaotic and terrifying. But I like to know that there's both. I think you can't cope with the world if you think it's all good. You're not prepared for it. So I like to acknowledge the dark, but still fully realizing that there's a lot of good stuff too in the world. You know what I mean?
And I think I've said this before, but we have all, I believe, avoided horrible things because we've watched horror movies.
Yeah,
we didn't go into that room.
No.
We didn't go into that basement.
No.
We didn't stay in the woods.
Right.
Although I will say this. I mean, I brought this up on the What the Hell's Wrong with Us. There was a time when, I was so into, I still am, but I was so into monster stuff. and that I actually took the time. This is when I was about 11 or 12, and I built a giant graveyard in our backyard. And what I did is I took no. So and I spent all
Hopefully
this time.
not a real one.
Will you listen to me?
Okay.
I built these open coffins, and I put like the glow in the dark skull, and I made like fake bodies and stuff. And I took all these Christmas lights that my parents had, and I put them all throughout the ground, so they all lit up, red and green and stuff. And it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. And I invited my friends over, and they loved it. Well, one of the kids brought over her mom.
Oh no!
Yeah, do you guys remember this? And my mom and this mom told my mom that they didn't want their kids to be playing with me, and she thought she thought that I was retarded.
What?
Remember I told this? They thought I was retarded because I built this big, or mentally challenged should be the proper frame. But I remember when I heard this, I was so distraught, and I asked my mom and dad about that. Why didn't they say anything? They never told me about this. This is like years later when my parents told me about this, and I said, why didn't you tell me this? They go, well, Larry, we didn't think it was that important. And I go, well, didn't it bother you that she thought I was retarded? She go, no, Larry, we actually thought it was so creative. We wanted to know what you would come up with next.
Wow, that's great.
Cool. So I actually
that's some good parents.
Yeah.
But doctor, is it like healthy to embrace that kind of stuff?
Well, you're kind of. I'm not a guru, okay, but what I'm thinking about is that there's a difference between being eccentric and being dangerous. And we get those confused in our culture because sometimes if anybody's different in any way, that means they're bad or there's something wrong with them, versus that they're just different. And we live in this little town called Cherokee Village. There's 4,000 people in there. And we went to McDonald's one morning, and this guy is across the street on the corner, and he has his flag, and he's running up and down on the corner, and he's waving to people as they go by, and Now, was he dangerous or just eccentric or different? But I noticed that he's not doing it anymore. So I'm wondering if someone called the police and said, get this crazy person off the street. And he was not harming anybody.
Do you remember there was a guy named Dr. Leo Biscaglia?
Yeah. Yes,
remember? He was
I do.
The love doctor.
The love doctor.
And
yes,
his whole thing was, love everybody. And it was a really positive message, and it was hug people. Forget about handshakes, hug them. And I always remember they'd have these speeches on public television. Right. And he said this one thing about, he'll be listening to someone complain or cry about, their boyfriend left him. Joe left me. What am I going to do? My life's over. Your life is not over. Forget about Joe. Call John or Ted or Al or bake some cookies and then hand them out in the street. And then I picture her handing the cookies out in the street and then getting arrested.
But you know what, Matt? You tapped on something though, because as a kid growing up, there were times I had a fourth grade teacher who was very supportive. I started this monster club, and she said, "Who wants to join Larry's Monster Club?" And a bunch of friends. But when I met Sean, and then met James and met you, and we were all like kindred spirits. We all loved the same type of thing. I never felt so alive when I met my friends, and we all shared the same thing. And finding that connection just made me so incredibly happy.
I agree. Hey, thanks. And it is something too. Like also, when I was growing up as a kid, I think Matt said this before: is that horror and stuff wasn't all over the place. It wasn't everywhere the way it is today. It was hard to find a TV show or a movie to watch. You had to stay up late. There was no such thing as cable and DVDs and all that stuff. But it was like a secret club I was in almost.
Yes,
yes,
it was like secret club.
It was like
Sean.
I watched. I stayed really late on Saturday night and watched this really crazy werewolf movie.
Gosh!
And I would go the next day at school. I would tell my friends about it, and
they didn't see it, did they, Sean?
Yeah, or if they did, I saw that too, or wasn't it cool? And then you get Famous Monsters magazine, read about these other movies that you haven't seen yet, and it really was like a secret. Because nowadays, being a nerd is cool and hip, and
which is fine, Sean.
No, it's fine, but it's a different thing when we were kids.
There are some posers, let's just say.
Yeah. It was more of a special thing. You kind of had to work for it to find this stuff and seek it out. And it just made it more, it really made you appreciate it when you did find it.
But Sean, you know what's so funny? When I found you, and I discovered you, and I discovered James and Matt, I mean, I was so happy. But then going to either Comic-Con or Monsterpalooza or some of these other conventions, and you see other people who felt exactly like I do.
Yeah.
My God, Sean, that made me feel so great. It felt great to be surrounded by people who love the same things that I did. Of course, then there's always that someone who says, "Oh, well, I seem to know more about you than you do."
Sure,
there's that kind of thing.
like,
And then I'm like, okay, all right. Well, let me. Have you seen this movie? That kind of thing. But still, I loved being surrounded by people who love what I love.
Well, and that's what's great about my wife.
Oh,
and
my
your
God.
wife too.
Yeah. Totally.
Yes.
We lucked out and found some people who are kindred spirits.
She is amazing.
And that makes all the difference in the world. And you get to a place in your life where I remember going to Comic-Con all the time, and I'd see these gorgeous girls dressed in Wonder Woman costumes.
Yeah.
And I was like, where were you when I needed you?
But see, the funny thing is, you could put your wife in a Wonder Woman costume.
I've done it. And she looks fantastic.
All the slave Leias.
Slave Leia. Ooh.
And Sean, your wife is just an absolute dream.
My wife Jeannie actually came to Japan with us for our Monster Party crusade in Japan. She was the only chick with us.
She was.
And did not
go crazy or kill us.
Right, yeah. Did not give us a hard time.
Come on, Sean, we're not that bad.
It.
She did. She had a great time.
We threw her a bone.
But I think Dr. Two is like, really, this podcast, Monster Party, actually did literally stem out of us every year going to Comic-Con, and we would, buy all the stuff at the convention, and we would party, and we'd come back to a hotel room and do what we're doing now anyway. We would just kind of sit around and argue and debate and talk about all the stuff we love while drinking. That literally is, this podcast is an extension of that yearly kind of thing that we did. Yeah. And it's actually made it cool because now we kind of are, as a group, we're together more, doing the podcast. And it's really cool.
Deeper friends.
Absolutely. Because it's funny. I mean, we all love the same stuff, but we have disagreements about stuff. And it's funny because there are times when I think Matt is so full of crap, but at the same time, I love him so much.
But it's like
that's right.
Yeah, it's like any passion, any hobby though. It's like the same thing with guys that get together, and watch football or a weekly poker night. It's the same thing. Yes. It's just we do it over monsters.
And what's also interesting is that we will argue and we'll disagree, and yet I don't think I can even remember a time when anyone's feelings actually got hurt.
Oh, I can. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh, that's music to my ears. Because I have tried. Oh.
I do want to go back and touch on what I just talked about a few minutes ago, and that is there is a huge difference between being different and being dangerous, and we get that all confused. I mean, if you can say to yourself that I enjoy it, there's positive benefits from it, it's not hurting anyone. It's not hurting me. I'm not neglecting my family. I'm not neglecting work. Well, but then don't worry about it.
It comes down to behavior, doesn't it? Like the way that you choose to behave. I mean, we could be completely healthy in what we believe, but if we take a flag out on the street and start waving it around in our underwear, then the police are probably going to come over.
Yeah,
even if we're not dangerous.
Yes, and again, that's eccentric. But it's not dangerous. It's not dangerous.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are, most of the fans that I know, horror and science fiction fans, are usually just the loveliest people, just so nice.
Right.
But every once in a while, there's a weirdo. There's somebody who maybe believes it a little too much.
That's the law of averages.
Yeah. And, but they reveal themselves pretty quickly.
But, I mean, if you go back and talk about Star Trek, what did that represent? It represented a time when, even Picard said, we got rid of this poverty problem centuries ago.
It's a very positive...
and I think sometimes the people that still are there, it's because of what that represented, that kind of world it represented.
Utopian.
Well, yeah, and that's interesting because that is then the other side of the coin of all the stuff that we love. We love horror, which is looking at the darker side of things. Mm-hmm. But on the other side, we love science fiction, which very often will show the future as something, even if it's slightly dystopian, it's usually advanced in some way.
Or there's fantasy like adventure, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Something as wonderful as that,
Right.
Or even if it's something, if it's a terrible future dystopian like Soylent Green. where you can, you're also looking around, you're reading the news, you're thinking, oh, what's happening to the greenhouse effect and so on, global warming. Yeah, that could happen. And that sort of fuels the imagination, too, that type of science fiction.
It also makes you more sensitive to the world around you.
It's true.
Because these are all morality plays and they're commentary.
Although I always wanted to try Soylent Green. I always want. What does that cracker taste like?
Can I just say this?
Yes.
If you get some human flesh and you cook it right, I'll take a bite. I'll take a bite.
Matt, it's in a cracker. It's in a cracker. You can't tell it's human
It's probably
flesh.
really good. It's probably with a little jelly on it.
Yes,
And jam.
no.
You have to have one of those freeze-dry machines, I think.
This is the other side of the science fiction thing, which we just referred to, the dystopian future, which I really love. Like, I really love movies about the end of the world. And I've always wondered, does it mean secretly that I'm sort of expecting or hoping that the world is going to end?
The zombie apocalypse.
What is that about?
You mean like The Last Man on Earth?
Last Man on Earth or Walking Dead
Yeah,
or Soylent Green or Mad Max, all those things where humanity has been decimated and they're just scratching to try to live another day.
Right.
A boy and his dog.
Yeah.
And there's something that is so just attractive about that, and that's one that I don't kind of entirely understand.
I have a theory.
Okay.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Doctor. But the whole apocalypse fantasy is
Yes.
that we live through it vicariously because we want to believe that we will survive it. So we enter these fantasies as the survivors.
As the Omega Man.
Oh, yes, the man.
Am I close, Doctor?
Sounds good to me.
It's howdy doody time.
See? He's a professional.
No. I mean, what about if it's just about our human nature is to explore things and explore.
I love exploring.
Explore that. Because ultimately, I think within each of us, we have the ability to be infinitely bad or infinitely good. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's a way that we can explore that without hurting anybody.
I like that.
Well, also, like, it's like for the common good. That's the one thing I love about Star Trek. Always moving forward. We're not perfect, but we're constantly learning from our mistakes, and we are moving forward. And the great thing about Star Trek, and what I love so much about it, is that it's got that positive thing, that positive message that we will get there.
We're going to make it.
Yeah, we're going to make it. Mm-hmm. So as much as I like Last Man on Earth, Matt, I do like that more optimistic stuff where people succeed.
Is that what they call the prime directive in Star Trek?
Yes, I guess.
The prime directive is to not interfere.
It's not
right?
interference.
Not to interfere with other cultures.
You've never seen Star Trek.
I forgot how much of an expert on Star Trek you were.
It was an innocent question.
But let's go back to talk about science fiction and the picture it paints of the universe. The picture that going home, and that picture is its benevolent universe. And I think early science fiction films were struggling with this whole thing of science and the power it gives. And it's always, it tends to show the science progressing and dehumanizing and threatening us.
You bring up a really interesting thing because, I mean, in such classics as Frankenstein, it's always like science, interfering with God, basically, in creation.
Yes.
But what gets me is it's like when people say, just toss something off as like, oh, God's responsible for that. Oh, so who was that guy that your wife likes? Neil...
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes. He actually has a thing. It's like, look, when people say that, oh, God's responsible, it's like, well, does that mean we're not going to ask questions? We're not going to move forward and try to figure out if we just said that God was responsible...
It's all God's will.
Yeah.
Let him take care of it.
We're not going to figure out how a light would glow or the earth moves around the sun and things like that. And moving forward, trying to ask questions... good for humanity. We're trying to find the truth of stuff.
Well, I look at early science fiction. A lot of works of art and fiction are the products of their times, and I think that early science fiction, probably spoke of a fear of technology.
Absolutely.
And the industrial age.
There's a great line. It always bugs the hell out of me in the trailer for The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And there's a guy that says, if I remember correctly, he goes, some things were better left undiscovered or something. Like, no, you idiot! We want to discover that. I want to know why that monster came out of the ice.
Well, especially in the atomic age when everybody was freaked out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he says, I think there are things better left unsolved. And that just bugged the hell out of me.
And it's funny how science fiction then, with the atomic age, kind of went back and forth with fear of the atom bomb and then Red Scare.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, Invasion of the Body Snatchers has a bit of that there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a question. We are all kind of obsessed with Godzilla.
Oh, are we?
As a character,
Yes.
as an icon, we share this unique obsession.
True.
We do.
And I wonder why that is. Now, you're familiar with Godzilla, and
It's a very large monster.
Very large
from Japan.
Perhaps you've worked with him.
Iconic.
Carries a lot of rage, is perhaps sometimes misunderstood, causes destruction without necessarily meaning to.
Japanese film came out in 1954, was translated, added Raymond Burr footage, and came out in 56.
So what does it mean to you? What does Godzilla mean to you? That's the question.
Well, I've actually been in psychotherapy.
Oh.
My therapist.
You poor guy. No.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, my therapist actually found it very
Oh, my
interesting.
God.
Yeah.
See?
Sean?
No, not yet.
You and I are undone.
Yeah. How's that working out for you?
You know what? It's working great.
All right.
Please continue, James.
Denial's a wonderful thing.
James?
No, I mean, for me, it had to do a lot with repressed, if not rage, then certainly anger. An inability to express anger in a healthy way, because when I was really little, I saw my parents fight a lot, and I think it scared me. And I've never, you guys might have noticed I'm a little bit mild-mannered.
No.
And a little bit controlled, maybe. And
I've always called you Wild Man GONIS.
I can tell you what, typically when kids draw dinosaurs a lot when they're doing therapy, it is usually about wanting to have control. It's about dealing with their own anger issues too. And I can see that if you think about it nationally for Japan, the anger about what happened to them and the anger about all those people that were killed. If in war, we're getting off subject, but in war, the civilian casualties far outweigh the military casualties. You stop and think about it.
Especially in Japan in World War II.
Well, it's 20 million Jews. We didn't kill that many soldiers in all the wars put together.
Sure.
Well, it's a symbol.
It's about the anger, and it can be individually or nationally.
Right. You can apply a lot of different significance to him, and maybe that's part of the allure, is that you can, it's this sort of Rorschach that you can apply.
Yeah, you can imprint on him.
Yeah. But for me, he's definitely my, I don't know, what do you call it, the id or whatever it is that expresses.
Or maybe an archetype. Maybe it's an archetype of our anger and...
Speaking of that, because you were talking about when kids draw dinosaur pictures. When I was growing up, I did I think I might have been in the 4th grade or something like that, and I drew this Godzilla book that I have here. It's like a kind of picture book. Tells the story of Godzilla coming to America, specifically San Francisco, where I lived, and he ransacks the entire city. But at one point, after making his way through Sutro Tower and the Golden Gate Bridge and everything else,
I've got to see that book.
He comes to my school.
Of course.
And
wait, you mean it wasn't the first stop?
And he gets rid of the bullies? Is that what he does?
Yeah, I wanted to build it up. He goes to my school, and what he does, actually, he kind of does it indirectly.
Yeah.
He destroys my school by smashing Sutro Tower, which falls over and lands on my school.
No.
Yeah. So I guess in my weird mind, it was like, well, you can't blame him. It was just an accident. It could have fallen anywhere. But it happened. I got lucky it fell in my school.
And him stepping on the school would have been just too blatant. And
that would have been crass.
Yeah. You got to, to describe this book. We'll post the scans.
Yeah,
but it's got
pictures.
this little binding on it, and the back cover's
it's a
got
cool
the
little
Godzilla footprint.
publication.
It's funny, Matt, you should do this. If we remember from Godzilla 85, Raymond Burr has this great monologue at the end where he says, Godzilla, this strange yet misunderstood monster.
Yeah.
And that's how I always felt about Godzilla's. Godzilla's misunderstood.
I think that's us too. Strange and misunderstood.
Yeah,
That really does.
And really just sort of doing the best it can. I mean, he's not that malevolent.
Well,
anything that size is going to do some damage.
Well, think about it too. Like in Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. Look, Godzilla is he's so pissed off that humans have polluted the waters they live in, and he gets up and he kind of like blows his atomic breath to kind of burn it off, and he's pissed, he's angry, and he has this battle with the Smog Monster that's killing people. He
pollution.
fights
Right.
pollution.
By that point, Godzilla has turned into a savior of the earth.
superhero.
But still, Sean, it's like the funny thing is, on one hand, it's like, oh my God, Godzilla, he's this horrible monster, he's destroying, but he's helping defeat this monster that's killing us.
Right.
And he is victorious. He does beat the Smog Monster, and then he goes off in the sunset, and there's no big fanfare or anything, but it's like.
Well, in that movie, there sort of was a big fanfare. A
little bit.
But is Godzilla maybe kind of like Russia? Where
What?
Yeah, well, like, okay, we get this ally to help us win World War II. And then as soon as World War II is over, now we got to fight Russia.
No.
Oh,
I didn't.
I'm just-
No, you're wrong.
No,
You're wrong.
There were a lot of
no, he's
different-
wrong.
There were a lot of different approaches. Maybe that's part of the attraction too. Is that Godzilla had all of these different? Like he was a villain, he was a hero.
Yeah, you can read into him different ways.
He had friends. He teamed up. He fought.
He did.
Right.
He did.
He ended up being friends with Anguillus, who was his enemy originally. It gave you some
Jet
sense.
Jaguar
of, like,
and Megalon.
yeah, exactly.
Can Jet Jaguar have a friend?
Yes, he can.
He's a robot.
Not only that, he can shake hands.
He
with Godzilla.
shook hands.
Yeah, but he was programmed to do that.
That's one of my no, he wasn't.
No, he
And that's one of
programmed
my
himself to
favorite
get
moments.
giant. So
Towards the end of that movie, in Godzilla versus Megalon, when they shake hands and Godzilla does his, remember, it's almost like he's talking. He's shaking hands and he goes, "Rawr, rawr, rawr." Oh my God!
You might as well shake hands with a Roomba.
A little Muppet.
I
face.
nearly cried at that moment. It made me so happy.
You're an easy crier.
I nearly cried too, but for a different reason.
Well, another way I think you can look at this too is that we all have these issues to deal with: anger, abuse, and what we want in the end, what we want to happen is to be victorious over all that.
Yes.
We want to get on top of the anger. We want to get on top of the trauma. We want to, and kids go through it, and when they get through some of this stuff, they do a victory dance, and it's pretty, it's pretty common. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
so this is about maybe Godzilla in the end triumphs over all of it, and we identify with that, like we do anyone, anything in that way, and so
And that's what makes Godzilla such a wonderful, beautiful character.
sure.
Absolutely.
Now, I would be remiss if I did not ask you, because we always talk to our guests about a lot of their favorite films, genre films,
Yeah,
or
we do.
Horror, sci-fi, or whatever, and coming at movies from a sort of a psychological viewpoint. What are some of your favorites?
My favorite one is Forbidden Planet.
Yes.
Oh, that is a good one.
Yes.
You know
That's
why?
a great one.
You know why?
I'm with you, my friend. Why?
Because it takes this Freud's theory, and you remember then when what's his face gets on the
Morpheus.
Morpheus.
Yeah, he's got the Krell
and the
equipment
Krell,
on.
Yeah.
and he says they just lost control of their id. You remember that?
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
I do.
And so that I thought that was it's one of the few times I've seen psychological theory accurately portrayed in anything.
Yeah.
Because most of the time when you see this stuff on TV, it's ridiculous. You wonder who in the hell did they consult to write this
Right.
stuff.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It makes no sense. Like this serial rapist, and they finally get him cornered. Why did you do that? Oh, I hated my mother. And I lost my job. It has nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And I think that's why the public is ambivalent about therapy and psychology, because they just don't understand it.
Right, right.
And it's too bad, because it does help people.
That's such a great movie, too. The fact that it's so accurate in its portrayal of Freudian psychology,
Yes.
and it's a science fiction
Yes.
movie.
And let us not
Cleverly,
forget
yeah.
about the great Robbie the Robot.
Sure.
Yes.
Which I absolutely love and adore.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it's a Shakespeare adaptation.
Yeah, it's The Tempest.
Yeah.
And,
that's right.
I didn't
Yeah.
get that.
And then it also helps to have the really hot Anne Francis.
And Anne
Oh
Francis.
yeah.
Yeah.
When she's in the water and she says, "What's a swimming suit?" I'm like, "Oh!"
Yeah. Yeah.
I swear to God, when I saw it for the first time,
I'll tell you what it did for my id. Oh. My id's paying attention.
Well, we could go on and on.
Yes.
Now, wait, I want to know if he...
Oh, yes.
A couple more movies, maybe.
Please.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original.
great.
But I was convinced into watching the second one, which I thought was good too. I didn't like it at first, but I watched it again.
Yeah, the
and
remake is really good.
The remake,
Yeah,
is-
yeah, very good.
That was with Donald
Sutherland.
Sutherland, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's two.
Give us a third and we'll let you off the hook.
We'll let you go. The meter's running, I know.
Even if it's not science fiction.
Matt,
or
how much is
horror.
it going to cost us for this? Is we going by hour?
No, we're ruined.
Is our time up?
Third movie.
How about
Give us another. Psycho?
No, I didn't like that so much.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
okay.
You know what? This is an interesting question then. What did you not like about Psycho?
I mean, that's like famous. That's that's an amazing film. I mean, that's
Is that one of those?
It has a lot to do with with entertainment, but not a lot with psychology.
Really?
I mean, I don't think
right.
it was that accurate in terms of.
Yeah, that's what you just said. It's like
this
blaming your mom.
Yeah, this mother fixation leads him to.
But
There was no connection between those at all. It made any sense.
But Tom, wouldn't you actually say? I mean, this was like the first one. Wasn't this like the first famous one that did that? So maybe we toss as it's so similar to stuff that I've seen. But that was like the first one to do that. I mean, it was huge, hugely popular, hugely successful. I mean,
It was like pop psychology, right?
Yes,
I mean, it was like
yeah.
you know, I mean, but
are you
it
like
works as a-
bubblegum psychology? Is
No,
that what
Yeah.
you're
but,
saying?
but it
really.
works as a vehicle for a horror film. It might work, but it's not.
But not
from a-
as not
yeah.
from the standpoint
It's not
of
something
what,
to base your life on.
Yes, exactly.
right.
So
Exactly.
a little bit of a spoiler here, but the premise is that he kills his mother and feels so horrible about it, he cannot accept the fact of the reality, so he has to dress up as her and take on her personality.
So it's really about him.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
do you think that that's just too far fetched? That someone who commits homicide that way would not react in that extreme of a way?
And go and kill other people
Yeah.
because of that.
Mentally ill, though.
Well, in the DSM-5, I don't know of any diagnosis that would cover that.
Okay.
Wow.
What
He's
is that?
shed a new light on Psycho.
Okay.
You
no,
heard it here first.
Well, what about like Silence of the Lambs, Dr. Hannibal Lecter? What about that guy?
Hannibal.
That guy is messed up.
Or is he?
I mean, he's so sharp. He's so intelligent. He's so,
He's so hungry.
well, it's not so much he's hungry, but I mean, and when he kills, it's like something very elaborate.
Well, he's a sociopath, obviously. He had no feelings.
So,
no
Larry, you should
conscience.
identify with him.
But see, here's Sean, but I'm not that intelligent.
We've come full circle.
Hopefully you're not that hungry.
Well, I guess I know who I'll be having over for dinner.
Oh, perfect. What a perfect way to end this delightful episode.
It was delightful.
And you know what? We were all maybe a little nervous coming into this, but, I feel like we've all grown.
You know what? This is what I've come to learn from this episode. I love you guys even more.
I love
I
all you
love
guys
you too.
I do.
Really?
I really
very
do.
much.
I'm ready to do some trust falls,
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm ready for
I
that.
feel very safe.
just for the comedy of it.
See, I know you let me fall. That's why.
Not all the way.
Yeah, and then you let him fall and you say, now that's a lesson, don't trust anybody.
See? Only your friend will let you fall.
No, because I know that my good friend James would catch me. I know that.
Tough love.
Wouldn't you
No,
guys?
you'd wake up in the hospital and say, why didn't you catch me? Or something.
Larry, I'll always be there. I'll always catch you.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
So let's
see?
do our episode listener shout out.
The shout
Oh,
out!
For this episode, it's listener Carrie Green.
Carrie Green!
Hey, Carrie.
Carrie Green.
Carrie was made aware of us right after we joined the Fangoria Podcast Network.
Yay, Fangoria.
And
We love them.
We do.
she said that we were her new favorite podcast, and that was actually very flattering because she's a horror author, and she's on the top 100 Amazon bestseller on Kindle ebooks on horror and the occult.
Carrie, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
We really appreciate
Really
it.
appreciate that. That is
I'm
awesome.
going to dig into them books.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, we want to remind our listeners that you can find us on Facebook at Monster Party TV and also on YouTube at Monster Party TV. And you can follow us on Twitter at Monster Party HQ. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, would really appreciate it if you took a moment and wrote a review. We would love to hear from you.
We would like to listen. We would like to read those
we would like to
reviews.
listen
No,
to your
I
positive
want
reviews.
no. It doesn't have to be positive. You tell.
kind of does.
Look, if you think Sean is full of crap, let us know. Or Matt,
Or Larry.
No, I'm sure they'd say that I'm right.
I'm sure.
Okay. Well, we have to start this therapy thing all over again.
So apparently I've learned nothing.
You have learned nothing, yes.
And unfortunately,
You're a sociopath.
And unfortunately, our time is up.
And this is a perfect time to thank our lovely guest.
Oh, my gosh. Doctor.
you so much,
Psychotherapist
Doctor. Thank you.
Thomas Ray. Thank you for showing us a way.
Yeah.
Giving
and
us the tools.
We may not agree with everything, but I appreciate you being here with us.
Yes.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I have to tell all my listeners I'm not a doctor, so they don't sue me. Okay.
But you are a psychotherapist.
Yes.
Yeah, we call you Doc because we're idiots. We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, we're clowns.
But
And because you are a doctor, all of this has to be strictly confidential.
Yes.
yeah, so don't tell anyone about
This is just between us and the
All
listening
our
world.
viewers. All our
millions
Only-
of listeners.
Only us five and the internet
Nothing
ever know what went on.
Nothing can leave this room.
That's right.
And you've been listening to Monster Party, a presentation of the Fangoria Podcast Network. It's produced by Thomas DeFeo and Matt Weinhold, and executive produced by Ken Hanley of Fangoria Entertainment. And for press opportunities, advertising inquiries, and information about Monster Party, contact Ken at fangoria.com.
On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I am Sean Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
Get some help.
I want to know where you studied, though. Where did you?
Yeah, no,
Where did I
you're kind of
actually
dancing
study?
around that.
Yeah, there was a school, right?
Well, I did it online.
Okay. Now,
Hey, Matt.
And
all right.
it was a
I'm sorry.
home study course that I did in the Air Force, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I got my license in the mail.
You know what? We spare no expense, Monster Party listeners. We scoured the country.
Well, the money you pay, what do you expect?
Well, he's
you
got a
know?
point. He's got a point. There's no money. There's dinner and booze.
This is
So
gonna be
you know
great.
what? We get what we
This is gonna be
deserve.
great. Yeah, this is going to be great. All right.